What's up YouTube? Capital G here. So the December 9th, 2024 TCG Forbidden and Limited list for the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG just dropped, and obviously I am going to talk about it. I spent probably like half of today watching the YCS Anaheim live stream. Shout outs to Triff, by the way, for winning the YCS and fulfilling his old promise, that whole wild bet that he made pretty much with himself, where he said that he would delete all his socials and his YouTube if he didn't win a YCS in the 2024 year, and then he wins the last YCS of the year. Good big congratulations to Triff. But yeah, so Konami did something very interesting where essentially going into day two, they kind of started talking about this this briefcase that Jerome McHale came in. They started hyping this up. We've got a big announcement, and then they essentially said that this is the Forbidden and Limited list, and we are going to announce it live on stream at the end of the at the end of the event. Now, I actually think that that's a really cool way to announce the ban list. The OCG has actually been doing something akin to that for a very long time. Sometimes the OCG will they'll set a date and a specific time and they'll just upload the ban list to the website. But the OCG also used to routinely do, like live streams where they would announce the ban list. And to me, this is very similar to that. Now, obviously, is this the first time that they've dropped a TCG ban list during a YCS? No, not technically, because I was at YCS Philadelphia last year, 2023, where Konami unfortunately dropped the Forbidden and Limited list in, like, I think it was right after round 2. That was when they they banned the Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow, the Link one. They banned it in the middle of the tournament, which was crazy. I mean, you could still use it for the rest of the tournament, but every Samurai player was just, they were out of their mind mad. But anyways, let's talk about the new Forbidden and Limited list, because despite how cool I think this is, Jerome with his glasses and them doing this whole kind of Secret Service thing, almost felt like a wrestling promo. The actual Forbidden and Limited list is not good in my opinion. This ain't it. And look, I will preface this by saying, obviously, I'm getting back into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And starting to know the meta, which is, it's been helped by DB Grinder videos and me watching this live stream for a good portion of the weekend. But this ban list just feels so unbelievably outdated. If you watched YCS Anaheim, you saw firsthand the impact that, crossover breakers had on our meta game, and the fact that Malice is obviously a strong tier 1 contender, and then you have the Raziel deck, which is probably the best deck, especially if you play like some of the variants, and then Fiendsmith stuff is still pretty much out of control. It's still very, very prominent in the metagame. And look at the 3 bans, because if I'm telling you that the best decks are like Fiendsmith, Malice, and Raziel, what are we doing with Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, Jogging the Spiritualist, and OSS? Now, don't get me wrong. If Konami would have given us these hits 6 months ago, or probably more like 9 months ago, because yeah, we probably would have wanted this stuff before the NAWCQ. If Konami would have given us this stuff in like March, I'd have been like, okay, this makes sense, because I even said, I forget exactly when it was, that I would have banned OSS some time ago. This was probably 9 months ago or so. And the pushback was, people were saying, Cap, if you ban OSS, you essentially kill the entire Snake Eyes line. And I was like, well, Diabella Star's story isn't done. They could just give her new cards, which of course they did. But I don't know, I feel like this is just, who's playing this card right now? I know there's this Snake Eye Azemia deck, but that deck does not seem like it's on the same level as, the other new decks that have come out, or just Fiendsmith. It's a good deck, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like this was way overdue. Same thing with Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, which, don't get me wrong, we know why these cards are banned. We know that this was essentially a turn skip / auto win for the branded deck. The problem is, no one's playing branded. Like, did Konami forget that they also limited branded fusion, which really, really, really killed its popularity? I mean, I'm sure there's some dedicated branded players out there, but for the most part, people don't really play the branded deck that much in the TCG. So it just felt unnecessary, or just way too late. Jogging the Spiritualist, I think, actually could be summoned in branded as well. I think I've seen a couple of Voiceless Voice builds play this. I know there were some Runic decks and some Super Stun decks that play it. I don't really get this as a ban. If you're telling me Jogging the Spiritualist is one of the 3 most problematic cards in the TCG, I'm calling absolute BS on that. And then again, OSS, was the card ban worthy on its face value? Yes, because it's just a really broken card, which we saw that with the pure Snake Eye deck earlier this year, damn near tier 0 deck, or some people say tier 0 deck, but the card was like way too overtuned. I don't know why on earth they gave this card that free draw. I used to say it all the time. Even if you ash this card, usually the person can just make up the advantage on the back end by getting the free draw. They don't have to send real cards. They can just send cards that they've already used, like the Fire King cards and stuff like that. So the bans, to me, they would have made sense if this was like 9 months ago. Now these don't really make sense at all. These are not stop. When you're going to your next regionals, when you're going to YCS or Orlando, what is this doing against Razio? What is this doing against Fiendsmith? What is this doing against the Malice deck? Now, when it comes to the limited section, they actually did take some of the current meta decks. Like, they took Tenpai behind the woodshed. They annihilated this deck. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that these are the same hits from the OCG. Chandra, which I'm pretty sure is the White Dragon, and then Sengen Kaiman, which is like their quick play spell that they activate in the battle phase and summons a monster, or I guess they can just add it to the hand, but usually they summon the monster, and it's one of the cards that can just kill you. I personally like the design of Tenpai, but I understand that, people don't like playing against Tenpai all that much. I would say that this deck is unfortunately dead as a doornail. I think if you're playing Tenpai, you just got to find another deck, because 3 of your cards are limited to 1, including your, kind of be-all, end-all field spell. I want to say these are the same exact hits they have in the OCG. And in the OCG, Tenpai was just running people. It was just dominating the meta. But in the TCG, it was still pretty good. I mean, it got second place at this YCS that Triff just won. So it wasn't like Tenpai was, not a legitimate deck. Phantom of Yubel, so even though Yubel is not like super popular, I actually like this limit, and I'm gonna tell you why, because I just think that this card is obviously crazy, right? As soon as I saw the card, I did a review on it. I was like, this is one of the most insane cards I've ever seen. This is the best Yubel card ever. But the thing is, having 3 copies of this card is absurd in my opinion. Like, being able to make one super early in your combo and then use another copy as just an extender for like Unchained stuff, for XC material, that's just utterly ridiculous. I'm fine with you kind of having a way to insulate your plays, because this card is almost impossible to stop. Like, once you get this on your field for like your combos, you're stopping that Nib, you're stopping that Ash, you're stopping that whatever hand trap your opponent's going to throw at you. This card is just going to eat that hand trap. There's other than like using Gamma on it or something like that, which is a limited card in itself. There's almost no way to stop this when your opponent gets it up and they're doing their first turn play. So yeah, the card itself is insane, but I like the limit. Then Zodiac Barrage, I almost feel like this is a troll unbanning, because number one, this card should have never been banned, because if I'm not mistaken, they banned Trident the second time before Barrage, or maybe they banned Barrage before. It doesn't matter. Either way, this card should not have been banned. Secondly, when Jerome was going through the limited section and he said Zodiac, I just assumed that it was Zodiac Trident, because I'm reading these Razio cards and I'm seeing this card, Dreadnoughter or Detonator, the Razio Detonator, and I'm like, this card is just Trident, but on crack, and it can also add materials, and it has a very similar effect that it can pop multiple times in a turn. This card is crazy. So I just assumed we were getting Trident back, and then when he made the B sound, the buh, I was like, oh my god, we're getting Broad Bull? That's crazy. And then it ends up being Barrage, and I just felt completely deflated. Bro, just like Trident to 3, Barrage to like, I don't know, maybe like 1, 2. I would even put Broad Bull at 1. It's just, stop being afraid of Zodiac, Jerome. At least give us Broad Bull and Barrage, or excuse me, Trident and Barrage. Broad Bull is a little crazy. To the semi-limited section, we've got Cyberjar, which is interesting because this card was banned for like 15 years, and now it's at 2. We have Danger Jackalope and Danger Tsuchinoka. I can't speak right now. Interesting thing about these cards is I actually think that they're kind of busted when you put them at 3, because I just see them as like these super free extenders and a lot of degenerate decks like Dark World and these like little like pseudo FTKs and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just maybe it's fine because these cards aren't as good as Nessie, but these cards are still pretty strong. I think I'm okay with them. Ava should have never been banned. Fight me. There was a lot of people who applauded Ava getting banned. Why? It's just I didn't get it. And then Perform Power Monkey Board, which Pendulum's kind of suck as a mechanic right now, so you can give them this back. I don't see Heavy Metaphor's Electromite coming back anytime soon, so you probably put this card at 3. I still think Damage Juggler didn't even need to be errated, to be honest, because they errated the card. 0 playability, you know? Well, not 0 playability. It's just a hard once per turn, but, you know, nobody's playing it. Then to the Unlimited section, and even though I did not do a ban list prediction, pretty much everyone would have guessed the Dragon Rulers. These are some of the most powerful cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. Unfortunately, you know, like, power creep is a thing in our game, and these cards have been power crept. You don't believe me? Play all of them at 3 in a deck. You will not you're not going to have a good time. Play against Raziel, play against Fiend Smith. You're going to find out, these cards aren't that good. If you want to play a level 7 deck that just has a higher ceiling and better disruptions, play Kashtira, even with, you know, bigger Rise Art bans. Lunalight Tiger, Rescue Ace, Airlifter. This is actually kind of significant for Rescue Ace because it's a pretty big consistency booster. Thunder Dragon Colossus. This is another card that I wanted off the FNL list for some time. Shout outs to the Cali Effect. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see this card going to 3 because they were so hesitant to put it to 1. So I didn't think it would go to 3 anytime soon. Thunder Dragons, I don't really think are a good deck inherently because the Thunder Dragon cards don't really do that much. They're insane when you can find good stuff to splash them with. Also, this card is really, really good. But the rest of the cards aren't like crazy good. We have Ib, the World Justice, or the World Childish Justicar. This card in Denlong, same, is literally the same card. And then Opening of the Spirit Gates, which they just hit recently with Yubel, and now they're putting it back to 3. But I think that is kind of offset by the fact that, you know, they hit Phantom of Yubel. But when I'm looking at this Forbidden and Limited list, again, first off, where on earth is Masterpiece, the True Draco Slaying King? They just unbanned that card, if I'm not mistaken, in like Master Duel and in the OCG. Where is it, Konami? I'm looking through my binder, or I'm looking through my shoebox of cards, and I'm like, yo, I got to get my Masterpiece and my diagram because 100% Masterpiece is getting unbanned, and it's not unbanned. And honestly, just there wasn't really anything like super spicy, you know what I mean? They unbanned one card, which was Zodiac Barrage. Doesn't do anything without the rest of the Zodiac cards. Like, without Drident, who on earth is playing this deck? And then also, I felt like, yeah, the Tempai hits definitely will adjust the meta, or they'll at least kill Tempai. But the bans just felt like they were way too late. So, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. I am not a fan of this ban list at all. I think some of the hits were good, but those bans were whack-arini, and yeah, they definitely could have unbanned some other cards. You know, Masterpiece, True Draco Slaying King, Wind Up Carriers and Mighty. Been waiting on that one for at least 7-8 years. So, anyways, whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, as always.